Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor to be here today to address the distinguished gathering present here of intellectuals, of notables, of businesses, and of the media. And I thank Mr. Puri for this opportunity provided to me and the India Today for inviting me this year to the conclave, and to the Government of India for the wonderful, excellent hospitality extended to me during this trip. You mentioned Simla, Mr. Puri. I think you may be well advised to have your next conclave there in Simla next year. For now, let's make do with Delhi. Making the dream of Afghanistan come true, a reality. And also you mentioned in your remarks, Mr. Puri, perception versus reality. Probably we have the two of them in Afghanistan, making a reality of Afghanistan's present situation in terms of the perceptions about it, and making the dream come true further. The theme of this conclave, perception versus reality, and its focus on the future, is timely not only for India, but for the region as well. It is also fitting, I believe, that we have gathered in India a country with vision, resources, and great potential to discuss a new, bold future for our countries and for our region. Indeed, the destinies of the countries in this region are fundamentally interdependent. Our region is culturally rich, naturally endowed, and strategically located. Together, we have tremendous potential to grow and prosper. However, for all our strengths and potential, we suffer from poverty and are vulnerable to violence, conflict, and extremist tendencies. The solution to our common challenges, be it poverty or extremism, lies in deepening our social and political ties, as well as increasing economic convergence in our region. Our people already share much in common historically and culturally. We must deepen this interconnectedness and broaden it economically. But to do this, we should look forward beyond the constraints of today's reality, perceive a better, more prosperous future for our people, and then together make our transition towards that goal. Ladies and gentlemen, Afghanistan has been called the world's newest democracy due to our success in the last October elections. Democracy as a system of government may indeed be unprecedented in Afghanistan, but democracy as a way of life has always been there. A set of principles and values is deeply embedded in our society. We are a country of councils, or loya jirgas, for which Afghanistan has been known for centuries. It is time-tested. It is where the Afghan people have always consulted each other, have come up with decisions regarding difficulties. So democracy as a way of life, as a system of values and traditions, has always been with us. We are as a people, a deeply believing Muslim society, a devout Muslim country, yet a country with values that understand and appreciate democratic practices. That is what enabled the Afghan people to come forward and participate in last October's election and fulfill a dream for Afghanistan and as well as a welcome step for the world as a whole. The October elections in Afghanistan, therefore, was the fulfillment of the tenets of our faith, at the same time as being a victory for democracy and its universal values. But equally, the success of our election was an emphatic rejection by the Afghan people of the menace of extremism. Speaking of extremism, in Afghanistan, this phenomenon was a legacy of the tribulations of the past 25 years. Extremism did not originate from Afghanistan. Afghanistan's troubles, ladies and gentlemen, began at the height of the Cold War, when the former Soviet Union invaded our country, trying to impose an alien ideology on our population that was deeply religious and strongly jealous of its sovereignty. We waged a 10-year jihad in which we received backing from the Western countries and our neighbors. While the world's help was crucial in enabling to push back the Red Army from Afghanistan, it also opened the country to a parallel invasion, this time by radicals and extremists. Many of our benefactors in the war against the Soviet Union either actively propelled extremism as an instrument to fight zealously the overthrow of Kemalism in Afghanistan or ignored it. And in the midst, the Afghan people endured unspeakable horrors. You know the horrors, I'm not going to detail them. Our miseries were compounded when, after the withdrawal of the Soviet army, the world turned a blind eye to the residues of war in Afghanistan. Foreign extremists found a haven in our country, where the state was crippled and the society was reduced to bankruptcy. And when extremists grew too much in strength, and when they attacked New York and caused the September 11 of 2001 strategy, did the world suddenly wake up to the gravity, to the deadly gravity of the situation in Afghanistan and the danger that it posed to the world. We, Afghans, knew much before the threat that terrorism posed to our country and as a consequence to the world. And we warned the world, and we spoke to them. We went from capital to capital, explaining as to what was going on in Afghanistan, telling them of the dangers emerging there and taking root there. Nobody took notice. Perhaps it was because of our poverty. Perhaps the world considered us as not a very important country. They would hear us, but would hear us with disbelief and doubt. The world only recognized the gravity of the situation when the United States and the coalition moved into Afghanistan to fight terrorism. And when they saw the open arms of the Afghan people in receiving them, in the cooperation that was extended by the Afghan people in liberating Afghanistan from terrorism, and as a consequence, the rest of the world, did the world recognize the immense tragedy of Afghanistan and the immense danger that terrorism posed to the world from Afghanistan. That happened, ladies and gentlemen, I must say, and I'm very sorry about it. That happened because the world did not look at the situation of humanity from a moral point of view, but from a very narrow self-interest point of view. Had we taken care of morality, especially with regard to what was going on in Afghanistan, probably a greater part of the mankind would have been spared the suffering that it went through before September 11 and on September 11, 2001. Therefore, our way forward should be to look at the world from a moral point of view and to share and care for the suffering of those who are victims. We in Afghanistan, with the help of the United States and the rest of the international community, have fought and won the first part of the battle against terrorism and extremism. We are now working to win the more long-term struggle, the struggle of rebuilding Afghanistan, so that our country will never again be a safe haven for groups that define themselves by terror. Today, in Afghanistan, ladies and gentlemen, I witness the future of my country unfolding. It is a future full of promise and opportunity, but it is a future that we do not want to create alone, that we cannot create alone, that we want to create together with the rest of the world, especially with this region. Since the liberation of my country 3 years ago, we have taken steady steps towards creating a legitimate government, putting in place strong and effective institutions, and reviving a war-shattered economy with the help of the international community, including India. During this period, we held 2 successful lawyer jirgas, ratified a constitution, conducted national presidential elections, and established a new democratic government and institutions with it. Our new constitution is very fortunate for us, enlightened and progressive. It recognizes our cultural heritage. It provides women with 25% of seats in the parliament at least. I believe it is now 27% of seats because we have 2 more provinces in the country. The Constitution also provides for democratic elections, and the first elections proved that the population was really not only ready, but very desirous and zealous to participate in democratic elections, and we saw that the women in Afghanistan were no less than men. Out of 8.2 million voters, 42% were women, and they know their place in the Afghan society today. Our people will in a few months elect their parliament, in which, as I mentioned earlier, 27% of the representatives will be women, fortunately for us and for women in our country. We have established an independent election commission which is tasked with holding all the elections, from the presidential to the parliamentary, to the provinces elections, and to district elections. We have also prioritized the reform of key state institutions, the National Army of Afghanistan, the police of Afghanistan, the civil service of Afghanistan, the judiciary of Afghanistan, the collection of arms in Afghanistan, and facilitating and easing investment in Afghanistan. The rule of law is something every day on our lips, and steady, constant work is going on to improve it and to acclimatize the country, to bring to a reality the rule of law all over the country, from cities to the provinces to the villages of Afghanistan. And I'm very happy to note here today, ladies and gentlemen, that the Afghan people are the pioneers in this. They are ahead of us. The government is trying to run after them, but fortunately we cannot reach them. And that, I believe, is the first good sign of a democratic society. Long before our elections were held, and once Afghanistan was liberated from terrorism, the Afghan people recognized the opportunity given to them by the world. And the first sign of that recognition was the return of 3.5 million refugees. Months and months before our elections, the Afghan people voted by their feet by returning to Afghanistan and seizing the opportunity and recognizing the new reality in Afghanistan versus the perception that there was in the world community. In today's Afghanistan, income has gone up 3 times higher for the daily labor, for the skilled worker. Tremendous economic projects are going on. Reconstruction is happening. Roads are being rebuilt. Institutions are being rebuilt. Foreign companies are working in Afghanistan. Foreign labor is fortunately working in Afghanistan for us and for those that come and work in our country. It provides us with a better opportunity. Afghanistan is on its way to becoming once again a crossroad in this region, connecting countries, connecting regions, providing opportunities to our neighbors and to the region, and benefiting itself from this vast opportunity presented by the new reality in Afghanistan. And once our roads network is completed, Afghanistan will be connecting Central Asia, South Asia, and the Middle East together, and will be becoming one of the easiest transit routes for this region. For example, from Central Asia to Pakistan and India, distances will be shortened by many, many days, and from Central Asia to the Middle East, distances will be shortened by many, many days, rather weeks. It will probably take in 2 or 3 years to travel from Central Asia and take goods from Central Asia to the Middle East or to Pakistan and India in less than 32 hours. Afghanistan is a good marketplace. Afghanistan is an unexplored country. It has mineral wealth. It has resources underground. It has potential for investment and opportunity there. Afghanistan is working on the Trans-Afghanistan Pipeline project, which should connect gas from Turkmenistan to Afghanistan to Pakistan and hopefully to India. And I hope Indian businesses will take this opportunity and work together with their government to bring this good project to fruition in our region. But make no mistake, ladies and gentlemen, Afghanistan has all these good things happening in it, for it. But Afghanistan is not yet out of the woods. There are still many, many things to do in Afghanistan. And here I'm reminded of the poem found by the side of late Prime Minister Nehru. When he died on his bedside, there was a poem from Frost, I believe. The woods are lovely, dark, and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. Afghanistan is exactly in this situation. We have miles and miles and miles before one can rest and look back and say, well, now we have accomplished something. We are trying to recover from the destruction of 25 years of war, of physical destruction, of the material and human destruction in our country. Afghanistan, by all development indicators, ladies and gentlemen, is among the most backward and the poorest of the countries in the world. When I was 21 years of age, I was a student in the university in Simla. And that is the time the Soviets invaded Afghanistan. There were others of my age who were studying in Afghanistan, in the University of Kabul, in colleges, in schools. Now, people like me who happened to be outside of Afghanistan at that time were spared the cruelty of war and invasion, could continue their studies. People under my age group who were in Afghanistan either dropped out of school or dropped out of university or did not study at all, those who were younger. So Afghanistan is facing a gap of 3 generations of lack of education and training. You can imagine the massivity, the gravity of the situation as it comes to human capital in Afghanistan. The child mortality rate is the highest in the world. The maternal mortality rate is the highest in the world. The United Nations Development Report indicated that Afghanistan was this year 5th from the bottom in the list of the undeveloped countries. Well, fortunately, we have moved 3 steps further. We were 3 years ago the second, I believe. Today, we are the 5th, which means we have made 3 countries progress, come forward, but still we have to work for many, many years in order to get closer to a standard that is probably considered as okay, if not very good. In short, ladies and gentlemen, Afghanistan is emerging from a painful past and moving towards a better future, a future which sparkles with hope and promise, a future of peace and of prosperity. Since embarking on this new journey, many helping hands have been extended to us. The helping hands of the international community. And we, the Afghan people, are very grateful to the whole of the international community for helping Afghanistan in the past 3 years emerge from destruction, sorrow, pain, to hope, to movement towards prosperity and the rule of law. And the United States is among those countries, on top of those countries. Europe, Japan, our neighbors, including India, Iran, Pakistan, and China are among those countries. And with regard to Iran and Pakistan, I must also say here, ladies and gentlemen, that we are very grateful for them for having kept millions of our refugees for more than 2 decades in their countries with tremendous hospitality and care. And this is something that Afghanistan will never forget. With regard to India, let us take a moment to see what India has done for Afghanistan in the past 3 years. India is building roads for us. India is building an extremely important road from the southwest of the country to the highway that's connecting a greater part of the country, Herat, Kandahar, Kabul. This will provide Afghanistan with a transit facility to Iran. The road is called Zaranj to Dilaram Road. India is also building the Salma Dam, one of the biggest dams in the country, the project that was left undone for 30 years now being redone. India is helping with education. India is helping with the Pul Khumri to Kabul electricity transmission line. India is helping with the TV stations. India is helping with the higher education. And on this trip, we discussed more help from India, which is going to come to us, and for which we are very, very grateful, ladies and gentlemen. Distinguished guests, it is time that we together articulate a new vision for our region. Our people need, and indeed deserve, to be uplifted economically. We need to move and remove political barriers between us. Where extremists have been trying to build walls, we must build bridges. We must harness and share our capacities for the benefit of more people in this region. We must seize the opportunity of the global village by making our own regional village first, by providing our own people an opportunity that the rest of the world has already grasped. I hope we will move away from politics. I hope we will do away with too much politics and enter into an era of economic activity, economic thinking for the upliftment of the people of this region. I see tremendous talents in our children. I was yesterday in Chanakyapuri, checking a slum area where little kids, children, boys and girls, were learning computers on their own. The sparkle, the talent, the future in their eyes is visible. It is the same in Pakistan. It is the same in Bangladesh. It is the same in Afghanistan. It is the same in Sri Lanka and in Central Asia and Iran. Our children are gifted, so the future is ours if we can only release their energies in the right direction and do not make them captors to politics of self-interest or small visions. Now, in this regard, with regard to politics and future, I'm very delighted to hear of the steps towards better relations that India and Pakistan have been taking over the past few months. We realize that establishing a bus link between Srinagar and Muzaffarabad is not simply about ferrying people from place to place or between two cities, but is a highly symbolic step showing the desire of the people of the two countries towards better, more interconnected relations and more prosperous relations, towards seizing opportunities for the people of this region. Such steps, ladies and gentlemen, are vital if our region is to enjoy stability and prosperity. And we are really for it. It delights us to see this happen. Ladies and gentlemen, the emergence of a stable, democratic, and thriving Afghanistan, eager to cooperate, is a great opportunity for this region. Afghanistan is keen to play its part in promoting economic convergence in our region. We are constructing our highways so that markets and capitals in the region can be connected. We are working on the oil and gas pipeline so that energy can come to our people. We are connecting consumer markets so that trade can benefit. Afghanistan will once again become a crossroads of trade and commerce, bridging South and Central Asia and the Middle East. We do this because it is our future. We do this, it is because the future of our children. But also we realize that it is the future of the countries in this region. But we also realize that this is the future for this region. And just as India and other countries of the region have joined in rebuilding Afghanistan, may we hope that a shared vision for the future of this region will bring us firmly and determinedly together so that all of us can live in this region and in the rest of the world in peace and prosperity, so that we will not see a hungry child, so that we will not see an uneducated child, so that we will not see an illiterate older lady among us, so that we will all be happy and peaceful and full of the glory of this massively beautiful culture that we have. And let us share it among ourselves, and also let it be known to the world and shown to the world that we are one hell of a beautiful and nice region. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.